In today's episode, SpaceX makes preparations for the Artemis Moon Base. Tesla again is #1 EV seller, and the Model S and Model X begin their final exit. I'll leave timestamps down below. Over the last day, SpaceX shared a series of updates. The most recent development centers around new details for the upcoming Starship test flight, and therefore SpaceX updated its FCC licenses for Flight 12 and 13, signaling progress towards orbital operations and recovery testing. Flight 12 will remain fully orbital 4th stages. However, Flight 13 now includes an orbital profile for the 2nd stage. SpaceX is getting ready for the Artemis 3 and the start of a moon base. SpaceX is not the only key player. There's many more, but I think it's the most important one. Also, ARK Invest just recently mentioned that SpaceX is about 11 years ahead of its competition. SpaceX's primary role in NASA's Artemis 3 mission, currently targeted for 2027, is to provide human landing system HLS using a specialized Starship vehicle to land astronauts on the lunar surface. It will transport astronauts from lunar orbit to the South Pole of the Moon and back. The key details of the SpaceX mission for Artemis 3 include lunar landing. A Starship HLS will land crew members to the lunar South Pole to conduct exploration, marking the first crewed lunar landing in over 50 years. Orbital rendezvous. Now, the mission involves a complex procedure where the NASA Orion spacecraft meets up with the Starship in lunar orbit, after which astronauts transfer to Starship for the descent. Refueling missions. SpaceX will launch multiple tankers vehicles to orbit to transfer fuel to a depot Starship before the HLS makes its journey to the moon. Vehicle capabilities. The HLS Starship is a variant of the full Starship system, relying on in-space propellant transfer and rapid reusability. Alternative mission plan. Some reports indicate that if the full refueling architecture is delayed, the mission could be adapted, but the goal remains using SpaceX's Starship to land astronauts. Artemis 3 is a NASA mission now scheduled for 2027 that will test rendezvous and docking in Earth orbit with commercial landers rather than landing on the moon as originally planned. It'll launch on the SLS rocket and use the Orion spacecraft, paving the way for future crewed lunar landings, with Artemis 4 slated to be the next mission to land on the moon South Pole. Now, after Artemis 3, we will explore the moon South Pole, and the mission will also test new spacesuits and systems, and is a crucial step in establishing sustained human presence on the moon. Also, after issues with the heat shield, there will be precautions ensure some changes, I'm thinking. Here's the mission's details. Launch 2027 from the Kennedy Space Center, but no exact date yet. Launch vehicle, Space Launch Systems SLS rocket. Crew vehicle, Orion spacecraft, of course. Primary goal is to test rendezvous and docking with the commercial lander like SpaceX's Starship HLS in low Earth orbit. Key tests, obviously important: evaluate life support, propulsion, and communication systems, and test new spacesuits in space. Significance: this mission is a critical pursuer to the first crewed lunar landing, which is now planned for Artemis 4. Changes from the original plan. NASA restructured the Artemis program in early 2026, moving the first crewed lunar landing to Artemis 4. Artemis 3 will now focus on crucial in-orbit testing, reducing the risk for the subsequent landing mission. Moon missions. Starship cargo flights to the lunar surface for research, development, and exploratory mission starts in 2028 at a rate of $100 million per metric ton. And Artemis 3, slated to launch in 2027, will send the Orion spacecraft and a crew of astronauts to space atop a Space Launch System SLS rocket in Earth orbit. Orion will rendezvous with one or both of NASA's human landing systems to test the docking capabilities needed to land astronauts on the moon. These two landers are being developed by SpaceX and also Blue Origin, respectively. During Tuesday's Artemis 2 mission briefing, NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman said officials assembled for the first senior level Artemis 3 mission design discussion earlier that day. The reports this week also suggest that the crew selection process is underway. However, NASA has not verified those claims yet. We can undertake again world-changing missions like the Artemis 2 right now and get ready for the next ones at the same time, Isaacman said. Artemis 2 was paving the way. Artemis 2 is the first crewed test flight of the SLS and Orion, and it's been remarkably smooth so far. The SLS had a sparkling clean launch after engineers spent weeks addressing hydrogen leaks and a helium flow issue. Aside from some pesky plumbing problems aboard Orion, which was fixed by a woman, by the way, the spacecraft had been performing beautifully. NASA's flight director Rick Heinfling said during the briefing the things that we're going to have to improve upon the Artemis 3 are relatively small and incremental in nature, as opposed to wholesale redesign on the spacecraft subsystems. Lander readiness is another big hurdle. SpaceX and Blue Origin both have been racing to deliver their lunar lander since October, when NASA reopened SpaceX's HLS contract due to significant development delays. The agency hopes to test both SpaceX's Starship HLS and Blue Origin's Blue Moon lander during Artemis 3. Now, ultimately, only one of these vehicles will deliver astronauts to the lunar surface for the Artemis 4 mission, currently planned for 2028. That is, if either of them is ready on time. I think SpaceX will be the one. Just my personal opinion. Starship HLS will be a modified version of the Starship V3 upper stage. Its iteration of Starship is the biggest and most powerful yet, and it's currently undergoing final testing before the debut launch in about 4 to 6 weeks, according to Elon Musk. During Tuesday's briefing, Isaacman said Blue Origin's Blue Moon Mark 1 cargo lander, which will lay the foundation of a crewed lander, is wrapping up vacuum chamber testing at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. But both companies still have a long way to go. In March, NASA's Office of the Inspector General published an alarming report revealing critical gaps in testing and crew survival analysis for both SpaceX and Blue Origin prospective landers. As these companies race to develop these vehicles and increase the launch cadences of their respective heavy-lift rockets, NASA hopes the Artemis 3 architecture and timing will come into clearer focus. On April 1st, Bloomberg reported that SpaceX has filed confidentially with the SEC for initial public offering, positioning the company for a potential listing as early as June, ahead of other major AI companies' IPO. Now, the company is reportedly aiming to raise up to $75 billion, and for context, Saudi Aramco's record high IPO raised $29 billion in 2019. At that scale, SpaceX could reach a valuation of well above $1.75 trillion and would make it the largest IPO in history. Also, reports have suggested that SpaceX will allocate up to 30% of shares to retail investors. This could be unusually high. So let's talk about Tesla. Tesla is back. Now, Tesla is showing renewed strength in its core business. Tesla is once again the world's largest electric vehicle maker. In the first quarter of 2026, Tesla delivered 358,023 vehicles worldwide. This represents a 6.5% increase compared to the same period last year. It allowed Tesla to reclaim the top spot from Chinese rival BYD, BYD sold only 310,389 EVs in the same quarter. In Europe, Tesla posted strong gains after a difficult 2025. March registrations surged. In France, for instance, registrations more than tripled. In Norway, they more than doubled. In Sweden, Tesla saw a 144% increase, and in Denmark, sales climbed 96%. Germany also quadrupled in March to over 9,200 vehicles. However, 2025 was a challenging year for Tesla, part to the pause in sales due to the changeover in the factory for the Model Y, intensifying competition, of course, and a political disagreement with Elon Musk. Despite all of this, the recent uptick in Europe points to a strong demand for quality. But it's not just Europe. South Korea posted dramatic growth with 11,000 deliveries in March alone, a 330% jump from the previous year. The full first quarter, Tesla sold nearly 21,000 vehicles in the country. But now the Tesla Model S and Model X era is ending, and Elon Musk announced it in a post on X. Custom orders of the Tesla Model S and Model X have come to an end. All that's left is some inventory. We'll have an official ceremony to mark the ending of an era. I love those cars. I love those cars too. It phases out Tesla's original flagship. However, the final units just became more expensive. They became a collector's item. Tesla raised the price for the remaining Model S and X by $15,000. This will also hold the value for existing owners, I guess. But these models will be featured in the history books as the vehicles that helped launch the entire EV revolution. So the question today is, do you think SpaceX can be ready for the Artemis 3 adventure and eventually the moon base? Also, is Tesla back being the most powerful EV company again? Did all the hard work pay off? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. And if you would like to know more about Tesla's Terafab project, you could watch this next. My name is Claudia, and goodbye.